last one.
So, Meredith told us that you actually were preferred to a cable show than a network show, and that it wasn't that easy to get you on board.
Well, I threw my hat into the ring for television probably about 3 or 4 years ago. Read some of the best scripts that I'd ever read, scripts that if they were movies I would do them in a heartbeat. But I thought to myself, in terms of the type of stuff I want to do and the things that I want to approach, it's probably going to be on cable. In fact, it's probably going to be on premium cable. This is what I thought 4 years ago. And then I went, well, Basic is doing some cool stuff, AMC and FX TV. And then I was thinking, well, I'm definitely not going to do a network. But this is the one, I mean, I read it and I went, wow, this is really, it's pushing the envelope. I like the character so much. I like that she's heroic, but at the same time, it's just kind of a mess, personally. I was amazed that they were so supportive and ready to go there. And so I said, yeah, let's do it.
So I think one of the conditions you had was to have a shorter season. Why?
Well, a couple of reasons. One is that I looked at my wife's schedule, and she eventually started doing 15. And she just works so hard. Be the lead in hours. Nobody really understands the amount of hours that you have to put in to do that. I mean, 16, 18-hour days, week after week after week. So that was one. Number two was, if they'll still have me, I want to make movies. I mean, that's the way I started, and that's a big part of my life.
Did she give you any advice for TV?
She gives me advice every day.
So, for the character himself, he's got a very fractured, lonely life, but he's got such amazing chemistry with all the women that seem to be in his life, even after several years. What did you see in him where he would be able to, not necessarily seduce these women, but really just become a part of their lives to such a powerful degree?
Well, it's interesting that you say that, and I think that's something that is certainly worth continuing to explore, because I think that he's a guy that is better with women. He's Joe Carroll is someone that is so charming, you know what I mean? It's such a, and I my character really admires his way to, manipulate people and all that kind of stuff. I don't think that Ryan really has those kinds of skills, except for women, or at least a couple of women, you know what I mean? Even with the Natalie Z character, he's a little awkward. I mean, he kind of talks about how he just kind of split. Never called it,
But those are his closest relationships. His
That's
closest
right.
relationships are a serial killer and these other women.
Right.
And that's lasted almost a decade of his life. That's still powerful for a man who's...
Death surrounds him. He's been in a lot of experiences where people have died, people close to him have died. Things in my mind that may not even make it into the pilot that are part of like my backstory. And I think that, strangely enough, even though getting back into the field and having the opportunity to work with finding Joe and putting him back in jail wakes him up, makes him kind of crawl out of the grave and give him a purpose for living again. It's also going to create a situation where there's going to be people dropping dead all the time, and I think that's going to be continuing to torture him.
What did you think when you saw the pilot finished?
I loved it. But I'll tell you what I thought. wow, that's my whole performance. Because that's what I'm used to doing. I look at movies and I go, that's it. That's all I did. And then I have to remind myself that was not my whole performance. That's just like, it's just the beginning. Hopefully.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully we get at least 2 on the air.
Yeah.
You know, that was an interesting adjustment that I had to make. Because, you know, when you do a movie, obviously it can all get cut out or whatever, you know, but you kind of construct the performance so that you show all the things about that character in the show. So I didn't show everything that I'm going to show about, but I didn't have to.
And how did you, one last question, character, how was it different from your voice?
Well, let's see. I mean, so many ways. There's so many details in terms of where he's from, his film history, and I think that you know, it's interesting for a guy that it's not that often. I think it's probably partly self-fulfilling, but it's not that often that I've been able to be the guy who, you know, is the hero. Is the one that you know, carries a gun and gets the job. It's like that's for as many years as I've been doing this, that hasn't really come into my life all that often, and so I think that's something that I'm sort of hoping to embrace.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.